Hello everyone, and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. We're talking pastures today and a unique way to spray for weeds and other invasive plants thanks to an inventive approach. SUNUP's Dave Deken explains.
We've always had a challenge here at the North Range because you've got large wide open areas like this, and then you've got draws and areas that are being encroached with brush. We've got sumac and plums, and we've got blackberries, and then this time of year what we're trying to control or really work hard on is our Sericea lespedeza.
There is only so much space on this land for plants. Brush like this and common weeds can crowd out grassy forage plants needed to feed cattle.
They utilize nutrients, they utilize sunlight, they shade out grass, they utilize water, and eventually you wind up with your carrying capacity. The average carrying capacity in this area of the state on a strictly native grass pasture might be 8 or 10 acres per cow year-round with very little hay. If you ignore those invasive species and the brush encroachment and so on, eventually you'll wind up with half and half, 15, 20, 25 acres per cow.
For many years, pasture sprayers have been used to spray broad mists of chemical into the air, killing most of the weeds that they touch. Oklahoma State agricultural engineer Randy Taylor has designed a rig that incorporates designs that he uses in weed control for crops.
A lot of times in our pastures, we want to go straight to a boomless type sprayer. And the reason we do that's obvious is like there's areas that booms just don't work very well. But if those are a small percentage of the pasture, then we've selected a sprayer based on our least common denominator.
Right.
We're saying, hey, for the bad condition, I'm gonna pick my sprayer, and now for all the good conditions, I'm not gonna do as good. And so, because there's no question that a boom will give you better coverage and better herbicide efficacy than a boomless sprayer. It's just gonna be less prone to drift. But there's areas that booms just flat don't work. And so what we've kind of set up here with this sprayer is that we've got a choice. We can go, to the boomless nozzles in areas where we're a lot rougher and aren't able to get the booms out, or in the wide open areas of the pasture where we're a little smoother and we can get the booms folded out. We're going to get much better coverage with our herbicides. And also have less opportunity for that herbicide to drift.
Okay, let's talk about the economics of this. Is it effective to go ahead and do the boom on something like this?
Well, the booms are going to be a little bit more expensive,
right.
But then again, when you're coming back and you're looking at some of the costs of our herbicides for our pastures, if I'm going to be spending $15, $18, $20 an acre for herbicides, then I want to get everything out of that I can.
Right.
And so certainly we will get better coverage on plants with a boom than we will with a boomless sprayer. And again, they're going to be when we get that little bit of a breeze, it doesn't take much. When I've got running a boomless, it distorts the pattern quite a bit, and so we're going to start to see some skips and some stuff like that. So I think there's some opportunities. There's certainly the boom is again going to cost more money, but we're running, a tank, a pump.
Right.
All that we've got to have anyway.
Right.
So really we're just talking the difference between a fold-up boom and going without.
Now, are there technologies to help with application as far as like in a crop situation, you can stay on a row and you can follow that row, but you really don't have that out here?
No, and it's really hard to see where you've been when you look at a pasture and you say you're spraying 40 feet wide,
right.
And then you look at, I got to look over here 40 feet to see my wheel tracks and try to drive parallel to those. It's kind of challenging. So, we've set up, at least on the tractor here, we've got a little GPS guidance system, kind of an entry-level system, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 depending on which brand you look at, and so it's certainly going to help us to stay on the track that we want to be on,
right.
and get our swath width as close as possible on what we want to try to do. And so it really helps quite a bit with the ability to map where we've been as well. So now I can zoom out and I see what part of my field have I sprayed and what part of my pasture still needs to be sprayed.
Another twist on this system, it's mounted on a 3-point hitch rather than a trailer.
Now, there's some drawbacks to that setup because it's a smaller tank and you're going to have to fill up more often. But also, one of the wonderful things about it in this strictly pasture situation is that we can raise and lower that boom. We can raise it to about 5 feet right now. We may fix that so we can raise it even higher at times, but right now 5 feet, and get it all the way down to 2 or 3 feet. You know, Dr. Taylor suggests about 20 inches from your target, and so if you've got a 5-foot tall target, you know, a sprayer that's 3 feet tall doesn't help.
So with the possibility of a 7-foot tall spraying mount, weeds and brush in Oklahoma are on notice.